In the early 2020s, the world's largest apparel manufacturer decided it needed to be something else entirely, a dominant technology company. Nike began a massive internal shift to prioritize code and data over physical storefronts. Nike's mobile app used AI, artificial intelligence that analyzes patterns to make decisions, to perform a 13-point scan of a user's foot and leg, outputting a precise shoe classification, so you wouldn't even need to try it on in a store. Internally, the company digitized 6,000 unique footwear materials. By turning physical swatches into searchable digital assets, design teams could instantly pull up fabrics on their screens, radically accelerating how fast they could draft new concepts. The logic was clear. Build a frictionless, closed-loop digital ecosystem where the company controls every single step, from the initial design draft to the final checkout tap on a smartphone, without ever relying on an outside retailer. Under then CEO John Donahoe, this approach became known as direct-to-consumer, or DTC. A direct-to-consumer strategy means a brand prioritizes selling exclusively through its own websites and apps, cutting out wholesale middlemen like sporting goods stores to keep a much higher percentage of the profit. To drive people to those owned channels, the company relied heavily on big data, analyzing massive amounts of consumer information to spot behavioral trends. They used this data to push highly personalized product recommendations and marketing directly to users' phones. Relying heavily on user data created a strict operational filter. Leadership began looking to their recommendation algorithms to dictate product development, greenlighting designs that the math said were already guaranteed to sell based on past behavior. By perfectly tuning their digital ecosystem to feed consumers exactly what the historical data said they wanted, they stopped looking ahead. They hyper-optimized for yesterday's preferences, which inadvertently paused the invention of what athletes would need next. This chart shows the company's valuation plummeting between 2021 and 2025. After peaking during the height of the e-commerce boom, the entire digital strategy rapidly unraveled. The primary cause was something the algorithms missed entirely. When the pandemic ended, consumers didn't stay glued to their shopping apps. They returned to physical retail stores in massive numbers to browse multi-brand shelves in person. Because Nike had spent the last few years aggressively severing ties with its wholesale partners, its products were physically missing from the exact places shoppers were flocking back to. The financial math quickly fell apart. The higher profit margins promised by the proprietary app model were completely wiped out by the sheer volume of lost physical retail sales. The predictive models failed to account for the psychological human desire to walk into a store, pick up a shoe, and try it on. The perfect digital fortress they built ended up functioning like an isolated retail prison. This blind spot created a second, more fatal consequence for the physical product itself, an innovation lull. Historical data strongly incentivized the company to continuously re-release classic limited edition models like Air Jordans and Dunks. The algorithm flagged these retro sneakers as safe, high-margin bets because they always sold out in the past. Focusing resources on retro lifestyle shoes led to a direct neglect of core performance engineering. Capital needed to develop highly technical running gear was diverted to color-swapping decades-old designs. This created a massive opening for emerging brands like Hoka and On Running. These competitors captured immense market share simply by doing what Nike used to do. They focused their efforts on engineering radically new physical performance technology, specifically for athletes. Code can perfectly calculate how to sell yesterday's nostalgia, but it cannot invent tomorrow's breakthroughs in physical performance. By late 2024, the board recognized the error. Veteran executive Elliott Hill was brought out of retirement to replace John Donahoe and clean up the tech-driven misstep. Under Hill's leadership, the company executed a sharp strategic U-turn for 2025 and 2026. They officially abandoned the exclusive direct-to-consumer dream and embraced a multi-channel approach, meaning they would sell everywhere consumers wanted to buy. Look at this diagram showing Nike as a central hub rapidly re-establishing connections. The company launched an aggressive campaign to rebuild broken bridges and shoot inventory out to a massive network of global third-party resellers. Foot Locker was tapped to handle deep launch inventory, while Dick's Sporting Goods was brought back in to reclaim the crucial team sports market. They even made the ultimate concession, resuming direct sales on Amazon to combat unauthorized third-party sellers, acknowledging the strict limits of relying solely on their own standalone app. Simultaneously, internal directives shifted away from endless retro re-releases and poured resources back into athlete-centric physical product innovation. A successful digital transformation requires balancing digital efficiency with real-world physical presence. You cannot code your way out of a physical market, and optimizing for the screen means absolutely nothing